everyone, my name is Josh and welcome to WHIMS. And today I have a reading for you on a short story or a story. I've basically got them into chapters effectively. And it's called Angel Dust. And Angel Dust is effectively my version of a superhero story, but instead of characters in tight costumes, flying around with a cape or having laser vision or all those sorts of things, it's a much more different kind of superhero. And it follows the character of Simon Parker Smith, who is disabled, and he has a pretty good life. And he wakes up one day, his mother is making him breakfast, and he finds that he's got a massive headache, and he doesn't know quite where he was or what's happened, but he remembers having a very vivid dream, and the entirety of this particular section is basically him trying to piece together the fragments of that dream, and also giving you a little bit of backstory along the way. And I hope you enjoy. If you want to see more of this Angel Dust story, please let me know in the comments or in my community page. Let me know what you think of the story. And if you want to see more, because I might do this monthly, I might do a Dickensian thing where Charles Dickens would give each and every single chapter of his novels to people, and you'd have to wait like a year or a month for the next chapter to be delivered to people. I might have that, but except of course you get that a lot more quicker on YouTube because I'm just recording them. But let me know what you think of the story, and if you want me to see more, kind of like a different issue each month kind of thing. Because I'd love to do more of these in installments and give you more of the story as it starts to develop in my head, because I've really enjoyed reworking this. And this was actually something that I wrote when I was in college, so I hope you enjoy. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and hit notifications if you're on your phone. But I hope you enjoy, and I hope you're all doing very well, and all the best. And this is Angel Dust. I hope you enjoy. Simon, breakfast is ready, a scratchy voiced woman called from across the hallway. Mrs. June Parker Smith busied herself with keeping an eye over a scorching array of food. Sweat was lacing her brow like dripping candle wax, doing more to exacerbate the fever from her prepping the food than any relief. Thanks, Ma'am, I'll be there in 5, Simon returned, whose voice was almost muted by his own shut door and the sound of bacon on the griddle. The smoke was thickening far too quickly, and June had to open a window to let out the greasy meat and eaten egg-scented fumes. Please be quick about it, Si. It'll be on a plate and getting cold before you finish getting yourself together. June hated sounding like she was whinging, but it had to be said. No use giving him special treatment now he's an adult. It was past 11 when she darted a glance at the clock. He was always on time, even with the drawbacks he had obtained in life. If he doesn't arrive soon, though, she might have to come down firm on him for his recent slippery timekeeping. I hate feeling like a parent sometimes. June thought this as her back gave into a dip and pulled at a muscle which stung. I'll have that boy for making me worry one of these days, June uttered through a stilted grin she spoiled with a hiss. Turning the dial to a low heat, she went about getting Turning the dial to a low heat, she went about getting the plates and utensils together before returning to the lively activity of the hob. Simon had just awoken. His head was throbbing in sweat-drenched confusion. There was a dry mouth taste on his tongue, and his eyes were heavy with sleep. Oh, shit. For real? Is that the time? The only thing Simon could describe his condition was deflated and somehow worn down. The only way Simon could describe his condition was deflated and somehow worn down. He was haunted by visions of a beaming sun catching in his eyes, the taste of salt, then a tightness of a vice-like grip going hard in his chest, while he could hear someone screaming, a line of fire, and then nothing. Just the rubbery crunch of his legs moving against the mattress as feeling re-emerged from their oblivion, set upon all the despair he had known of his dream self and of the pain in his chest every time he drew in breath. There was also a husk of air parting from the gap between his lips, brilliantly defined in a radiant golden wisp. Angel dust. Something which is inside you, has always been with you, but for one reason or another you have held no knowledge of it until now. Simon felt light-headed as he readied himself to rise. His eyes were watering when he rose. He stretched his legs, lifting one into the air and bending it into an arch, which he prodded and poked with the heat of pain by bringing his knee close to his chest. Holding this for 10 seconds, he felt the burn in his thighs, keeping it centered and straight as a razor blade's kiss, then relaxed. He did the same thing twice on each leg for symmetry and got up. His head was aching as he looked about him in the semi-darkness of the room. The closed curtains on the wall made any mild bloom of colour look like a mural of desert lights in a water tank. Everything appeared dry and dusty when the sun shone through the closed shutters. One slippery move would cause me to fall and shatter, and that's it for me. He thought this with a ghost of a smile and trying to stifle the duration of his yawning. The numbing, heated sensation of pins and needles pinched his ankles as he travelled slowly from bedpost support to bedside cabinet, with his mind still more a fog of cold memory. He wasn't dreaming of a war zone. He felt like the spaces between his bed, wardrobe, and bathroom might as well be washed with sand pockets, wafting in a fusion of gas pellets and the deeply rotting essence of human remains. Simon's own stiff mobility was accompanied by his holding on to bedposts and imprinting sticky and sweat-riddled hands upon a bedside cabinet to open the curtains. Letting a stream of light out of the late morning into the room, giving the green of the walls on the other side of his room and the chocolate-coated brown rug carpeted floor back its colour. The green always appeared gloomy and muted due to the plain white of his window-sill and the white of the walls by his bed and the opposite wall which held a chest of drawers with a television on it, and next to this a wardrobe and bookshelf. The bookshelf was a fixture added by his uncle, who thought it would be better serving his nephew in the main bedroom than in his shower room, where it mostly collected dust and kept boxes of hair and beauty products. "What do you want to do with this, Junie?" he remembered hearing his uncle through the closed door. "I dunno, I'll ask Si," June returned. "Si, what do you want to do with this old bookshelf in here?" June asked, upon opening the door to her son's room. "You can take it to the tip if you want, Uncle Dev." "Why did you put it in your room, Si? Haste makes waste, you know," Uncle Dev said. "All right. Can I see where you want it to go?" "I was thinking about putting it between the chest of drawers and the wardrobe. I'll show you when I've finished." Do you want me to clear out while you do it, Uncle Dev?" Simon asked, his tone overwhelmed with guilt that his mum and his uncle were doing all the heavy lifting and he was just sitting on his arse with a book in his hands upon his swivel chair with a larger pile on his desktop. "Can do, but you can stay if you want." "Okay, I'll try not to be a nuisance," Simon replied, hoping to sound somewhat in jest even though he himself wasn't completely sure. "Don't be daft, Si, you're not, and you won't be," Mum replied, after a brief pause where he thought his and his uncle maybe had a few whispered words in the in-between. As a child, Simon was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, a condition which happens to be an after effect of the brain being deprived of oxygen during labour, or perhaps if one was lucky enough to have find a heartbeat upon the delivery of the fetus. This can be a case of either or in Simon's view. When it was finished, the four of them were gathered in the downstairs bedroom. His father, Daniel Parker Smith, had just gotten home from work and was resting his tired legs in Simon's swivel chair, while Simon mustered the courage to sit on the seat he used as a tray for holding plates and cups when he was on the move. "What do you think, Mr. Parker Smith?" Uncle Dev asked, placing a hand on his nephew's shoulder. "It's great, thanks, Uncle Dev. I'm glad my many books have got a place to go now." "You're welcome, Si. You see those plastic drawers, both 3 and 4 shelves down? They're for all the papers when you have a short story you've written and you want to save it somewhere. You can just put it in these," Dev explained, pulling the two drawers fixed into the third shelf in and out for show. "And do you like where I've arranged the books?" Dev asked, indicating that he had propped the bookshelf right back up against the wall. "See, Si? It's so the titles in hardback could be wedged to the very back of the shelf and the paperbacks could occupy the space in front when the hardbacks were pressed into the space," Uncle Dev said, one hand on his nephew's shoulder while his finger pointed to each shelf. Simon nodded along, and first editions could bookend the shelf space each to each, thus making the arrangement of the shelf look more tidier than if, say, Dad had tried his hand at it. Sorry, I'll read that again. "And first editions could bookend the shelf space each to each, thus making the arrangement of the bookshelf look more tidy than if, say, Dad had tried his hand at it." "Charming," Daniel chortled. "But I did just get back from a 10-hour shift, remember," Daniel added, a mock whimper in his voice. "Sorry, Dad," Simon said, putting a hand on his shoulder, which his dad repaid in kind by clasping it with the warm gratitude of someone having just made a light-hearted joke. But it's great, Uncle Dev, thank you." "Thanks again, Dev," both Daniel and June uttered when they saw their son smiling. "Any time. I expect you want to get writing on your next masterpiece, do you, Si? Uncle Dev asked, somewhat jokingly. Simon smiled, dipping his head in shyness. Stop that, Simon Parker Smith. You embarrass yourself. You really do. Simon thought with shame. His Uncle Dev replied by showing his own pearls with gold fillings. Right now. Who's hungry? June. Excuse me. Right now. Who's hungry? June asked, before being greeted with laughing and mild chatter. Simon, breakfast ready. His mum's voice carried itself through the door to his room, jolting Simon out of his reverie. Thanks, Mum, I'll be there in 5, Simon replied when his frame was hunched over. Please be quick about it, Si. It'll be on a plate and getting cold before you get yourself together. Simon had pulled something in his back when he forced himself upright. Coming, Mum. Simon spoke, half the response in an inaudible hiss, but he held back before repeating himself with much more weight. He opened the door to the bedroom with a beaming yellow light, his mum gathering plates and cutlery to the table, fork and knives in one hand, while the plates were nestled against her chest, like she was carrying wood to the furnace. Then the fumes of breakfast wafted into his nostrils, of toast and bacon sizzling in a pan. Then it all came together. The vision in his dream, the aching head and the sensation of dry mouth, his stiff and shattered feelings, his limbs seemed to emanate upon his waking up. He dreamed he was being burned alive. So that's the opening chapter for Angel Dust. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments if you liked this video and you'd like to hear more, like a monthly thing. Let me know in the comments and I'll happily get round to that. But I hope you enjoyed this short story, and I hope you're all doing very well. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and please subscribe for more and hit the notification bell to be notified about latest videos. Hope you're all doing very well. This has been Josh with WHIMS. Take care. Bye-bye for now.